Here are the products you'll need to make this tray. Epoxy, it comes in an A and B mixing side, something to mix it with, gloves, because you really want to protect your hands for this. Do not do this without gloves, and do this in a ventilated area. And then you're going to use alcohol ink, and you can use it in whatever colors you want. You're going to want a mold. This is for the tray. That's how the tray gets its shape. Rubbing alcohol. You'll clean the tray with alcohol first, and then it's good to have the rubbing alcohol because when the epoxy is wet, this is what you'll clean it up with. And then a torch lighter, or you could use a heat gun. This will get the bubbles out. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to mix part A with part B. So this is the casting resin, and you're pretty much creating a scientific experiment here. And when you mix these together, this is how we get the resin or the epoxy. And so what you're going to do is you're going to want to measure these and perfectly have the same amount of part A as part B. And I am using 120 milliliters of each one, and I've pre-measured this. And so we're gonna open both of these and pour them in. And part B is not as thick as part A, so it comes out a lot easier. So once you have those out and measured, you're gonna wanna mix this for 3 to 4 minutes. You gotta get this mixed really good. And the epoxy will come with, at least mine came with a popsicle stick. So get on the sides, get on the bottom, and mix, 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 mix. And the next thing we're gonna do is we're going to use a cotton ball and alcohol, and we're gonna clean our mold. So this is what we're working with, like there's that like gunk on it. So you want this to be nice and clean because your tray will look terrible if you have a bunch of gunk on it. So here we go, pouring this on. And so this, we're making a tray. So we're kind of wanting the epoxy to go in all of these corners. And if you need to, you can use your gloved hand to kind of push it anywhere it doesn't go. But the less you get epoxy everywhere, kind of the better. And now we can do the fun part, which is add the rainbow colors to this. And if you're like, I'm not into rainbows, that's lame. Just kidding. If you're not into rainbows, you could make like any color design. I've seen people do like all blues and it kind of looks like the ocean. Okay, so we got a question. How quickly do you need to pour after mixing? I mixed for about 5 minutes and then I poured it. Once you mix it, you have about 30 minutes to work with it before it starts to set. So just, you kind of want to work a little bit quickly. And just as a note, I have a tray that I'm working on top of, and that's going to keep the epoxy level. So if it's like leaning on its side, it's not going to set well. So that's not going to be good. So for this project, I am using alcohol ink. This is the fun part because now you get to take your ink and you just get to drop it in, and you could do like patterns, you can do like straight lines, but I'm going to tell you, it just kind of does what it wants to. So I'm gonna use a combination of colorful inks, and then I have some white and cream inks. The white is heavier, so it's gonna sink to the bottom and it makes really cool reactions. And another thing to note is no matter what you do right now, it's gonna just dry kind of different than how I'm putting it on. So just be prepared for like a total surprise. And I'm just doing rainbow order and hoping that it'll like mix and make a cool design. I don't know. And this is fun to play with, and I think this would be a fun kid craft if you have kind of a careful child that won't get the epoxy everywhere. Oops, this is kind of making a mess. So I guess my table's not level and like the edge of the epoxy is kind of coming off. Okay, there we go, more level. Do level before I did, that's better. Okay, so don't get your hair in it. Okay, so then you just keep like mixing and adding the white, the colors, and they'll bleed together, which is kind of fun. And I'm gonna show you something else you can do, which is epoxy tends to get a lot of bubbles in it. So I have a torch lighter, and you need to use the torch lighter, not just like a generic lighter. and you can use it to get the bubbles out. This one has kind of been dead, so you can try that. I also have a heat gun, so we'll try this one. I haven't tried this yet. So you turn it on, and the heat should work out the bubbles. So I don't know if you guys can tell, but up close, I can see the bubbles kind of popping. Yeah, it's really satisfying. Let me see. So with epoxy, it takes about 24 hours to dry. This took me 18 hours last time. So it's kind of funny. They say the thicker the material is, the faster it dries, which is opposite. So here's the situation. When my tray got off level, the stuff kind of just flowed that way. So it's gonna look a little bit weird, but that's okay. I don't know if I can clean it up to still make it look rainbow. So we'll just play with the design, and it doesn't have to be perfectly rainbow. Another tip I'm gonna give you is that when you are done with your design, you're gonna wanna cover it up. So if I left this outside uncovered, like stuff would blow into it and it'll get hardened into it, and that will not look great. Make so many fun things with epoxy, like those letter keychains are really fun. You can get dried flowers, like just order them online or press your own flowers and put them in, which is another really fun thing. You could make like a picture frame. So you just go online or to a craft store and you can buy these molds. I think this mold was $16, and then the epoxy itself was $19.99. So you're looking at like, you know, like a $50 project here. So with the epoxy, you know, like half of the bottle I used for this project. So then you could use another half for another project. And then the molds you can use over and over again. They're kind of unlimited. And I just have like an IKEA container, and I'm just gonna cover it